Today is July 13th, 2018. My name is Alina Sergashev, and I'm interviewing Carol Mills in Gander, Newfoundland. Can you please introduce yourself?
Okay, so my name is Carol Mills. I'm the general manager of the Comfort Inn here in Gander, and I have been for 24 years. So, of course, like I said, was it 17 years ago? I guess I've been around the block, but for what happened 17 years ago, sometimes you like I say, you tend to forget. I don't even know. I hope in 20 years I'll remember. I do have a binder behind you. It says 911. Okay? So my sister had said to me, Karen, you need to write down what happened. Because when it happened, you don't realize what's happening. So I did. So anytime someone comes in here, especially from the United States, or, I'll pass that out and I'll say, fill your boots, and that's everything that happened in the Comfort Inn Gander, okay? One thing I'll tell you that really stood out is on 9/11, I had just finished training a desk clerk. She was brand new, 2 weeks in. Her first shift by herself was 9/11. You can just imagine. It was the same type of phone system, 12 lines. And it just went, I don't know, one ringy-dingy two. It just went as fast as I'd hang up, it was just like you see back in the movies. I don't know if because I know you ladies are young. I'm 55. But where they were putting in the cords. Yeah, exactly what it was like. It was just, and the desk clerk, she's still with me today, stood at the back wall back there. And her hands were, she's just coming in to check in. Her hands were behind her back.
Sorry, never even know. I thought Angus was there then. Only 2 seconds and I'm out of here. Enjoy, ladies.
Have a good weekend.
See ya.
So she stood on the back wall out at the desk, hands behind the back, and was like, oh shit. We were 2 weeks in, and I remember turning around to her several times and said, don't quit. Do not quit. So I think what happened was Comfort Inn, everyone knows Comfort Inn as opposed to the Albatross. Nothing wrong with the Albatross, but they know the name, just like we know McDonald's if we went to Russia. McDonald's, everyone knows it. So everyone thought the only hotel in Gander was Comfort Inn. So they all go there, and it was just bloody chaos for hours and hours and hours. And I remember one man, I spoke to him, and he was crying because he hadn't heard from his daughter, and he knows she's on a plane. And I remember saying to him, my darling, no one's off the tarmac yet. Everybody is still on the plane. So your daughter hasn't been able to get off that airplane yet to get to a phone. Because it was like, oh my God, more than a day later before everyone could deplane. And once they deplane, I remember speaking to him, and he was just sobbing. I said, you will hear from her, I guarantee you, sir, within the next 12 hours. Because we're Gander, Newfoundland. Like, what the Jesus is Gander, Newfoundland? It was like, holy shit, where are we? No one knew. So, the phone eventually stopped. And I finally did go home, but the next morning, of course, now everyone's deplaned. First thing they did was place crew. Crew had to be placed first. Because they had to fly, they had to be rested. And that plaque right there, actually, on the wall is from American Airlines that stayed with us. So once the crew got put in place, and I think we also had a military flight, then it was rooms for whoever could, I'd like to point out at that time, just because all of a sudden there were 6,800 people in town, we did not gouge anyone. I think the room rate was $89. And that's what it was. If there was 10 in that room, we didn't give a shit. 10 got in that room for $89. Because sometimes when it's big events, we capitalize, right? We didn't do that. We had breakfast, as you know. We left that open 24/7. Didn't matter if you stayed there or not. Whoever wanted to eat that breakfast could walk in off the street. So it was really, really, really busy here at the hotel because we were doing laundry for the whole town. Right? So your mother, everyone's mother gave towels and all that, but there was nowhere to wash this stuff because all the towels went to the Legions, the Lions Club, the schools, where there's not very many showers. So at the end of the day, buckets and buckets, like big, like on wheel buckets into the hotel. So my staff all worked. Everyone just worked and did towels. So that's just stuff that I remember. I hope as I get older I remember. Everyone done something. but you didn't know you were doing it. It was gorgeous. It was gorgeous. For the 4 days they were here, the day they left it poured. It was bloody gorgeous. But everybody helped somebody. It was amazing. And of course, when people came in, no one had seen anything. No one seen anything. I still get the goosebumps because there was a lady come in the front porch and there was TV set up, and she fell up against the wall because her son was in one of the towers. She didn't know if he was out. It was just, you can't even comprehend it. Now I can, but back then everyone was just busy screwing around and doing their thing, and it was just a crazy, wonderful time, if that makes any sense. As bad as there was darkness, people were happy. People were happy. Once they get over the initial shock of seeing the towers, okay? Once life settled, shall we say, people started to go about their business, and gorgeous weather, oh my God, they were walking. There was people everywhere, as you can imagine. But I remember 2 guys came in, looking for a room. Of course, we had no rooms now. At the time, there were 63 rooms. We now have 79. We had no rooms. So I said, well, here's what I do have. And actually, I'll just make a point to show you ladies. They were called the Basement Boys. From England. And there they are. That's the underwear they bought at Walmart. That's all they could get that would fit. So when they got back to England, they sent me all these pictures. But anyway, they came in looking for a room, and we had none. So I said, I'll tell you what I do have. I have a box spring and a mattress downstairs, because we have a fitness center. I don't know if you were downstairs. Were you?
We saw it, yeah.
Yeah. So I set them up downstairs, one on a box spring, one on a mattress. The fitness center has showers. So I said, here's soap and shampoo. And I said, that's all I can do for you. I said, that'll work. And they said, it's better than the pool table the night before. So they had slept on the pool table. So they were deemed the Basement Boys. And then there was a gentleman here from Ireland, Mr. Kelly. His picture is also in there as well. And he had nowhere to stay. So it was back then it was an all-female staff here. We've got more men working out. It was always females here. So we done it all. We lugged TVs. If anything had been on maintenance, we done it. Times have changed. Anyway, so this man, I said, boy, I got nowhere for you to stay. I said, I got a cot. If you want to take it down over them basement stairs and tuck it in a corner, because the basement's a little bit different than now than what it was then. Down he went, sir. Cot, pillows, blankets, set up in the corner. Gave him soap and shampoos. Happy as a pig and poo. He was from Ireland. So there's little stories like that that I'll never forget. And but the day they left, it poured. Remember last night?
Yes.
It poured. We were expecting, I think, a hurricane coming. Actually, I can't remember. I think we had the rain. I don't know if it got severe as last night, but it poured. So myself, the owner of the hotel, and the owner of Jungle Gyms lined up. We drove minivans in, lined up in front of the hotel, and drove people down to all their pit stops, because now they're going home. And I was so very happy they were going home. I think when they left, I cried, and I cried. I was just so, I guess, overwhelmed, and you don't realize it because you're going on adrenaline all the time. I was so happy they were gone. Because it was just so, and I hope that don't sound cruel, it was just so chaotic and nice for 4 days that when it was all said and done, it's like, oh, thank you, Jesus. We can get back to normal. And a lot of people probably felt like that because it was crazy for 4 days, you know. But there wasn't any contrary people. It was just smooth. It's unbelievable for what they went through. Unbelievable. But that's mostly what I mean. There's lots of little things I guess happening, but that's mostly what I remember is my desk clerk's first shift, Basement Boys. I got lots of pictures in that in there. Have you seen Come From Away?
Yes.
Okay. So Beverly Bass is one of the main characters, the pilot. So she worked with American. We're very good friends, dear friends today. And there's lots of notes in there from her. And so there's friendships develops. And like anything over time, those friendships sometimes dwindle away. Because there's lots of people I was in contact with that were not no more. Because, I mean, they could be dead or anything at all. But you know, so life just goes on, and that's probably as much as, you know, if you're more than welcome to borrow this, this is a great read over a cup of tea. Because you can just sit down and you'll see the pictures and you, like the guy, did you read The Day the World Came to Town?
No, not yet.
Not yet? So you need to read that. It's the book behind me. It's a great read. It's a really good read. The author of that book stayed with us for a month. Yeah, it's a real nice read that will tell you about 9/11. And you know what's so nice about the book? I never realized what happened until I read the book. I didn't know what happened in Gander until I read the book. Because I was so immersed here that I didn't know about Barney Harris doing the SPCA thing. Or the guys at ATC, NAV Canada, you know, the controllers, or anyone else doing what they done around. Because I lived and breathed here. I went home long enough, sleep, gone, up again next morning, gone. So I read this awesome read because it's not statistical, it's little stories. So if you've not read it, that'll give you, and he stayed here, so Jim DeFeedy, Basement Boys, they sent me lilies every year on September 11th for years. Then it became every second year. Then it became every kind of third, and now nothing, which is fine. But as I said, just time goes on, you know. So there's a lot of memories. There's no doubt. There's a letter from Beverly Bass and a lot of the crew. I remember I used to smoke at the time, standing outside with the co-pilot of American Airlines, smoking a cigarette from New York. Me and him puffing away from New York City, and he said, "You know something?" In his New York accent, he said, "If this happened in New York, we wouldn't help you." I said, "I don't believe that." He said, "No," I said, "We wouldn't, because I guess New Yorkers are used to walking over people, and New York has changed, I think, since 9/11. And I don't think, you know, but back then, as a true New Yorker, he felt we wouldn't help anyone." I never ever knew what the big deal was. I didn't get the big deal, like, oh my God, everything people did. I was like, well, I don't get that. To me, we live come from away every day here at the hotel. We've taken more people back and forth to the hospital just because we can. I can't see an 80-year-old man walking to the hospital, which is up the highway. So I'll drive him, or I'll say, "Raj, grab my car and go buddy ride." So we do these things as Newfoundlanders. Are you a Newfoundlander? I know you're not.
No, I'm from the States.
You're from? Oh, are you American?
Yes.
Okay. Where are you from?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. And where are you from? Germany?
Born in Belarus, raised in Israel.
Oh, interesting.
But it was interesting because even though in the state, like where I was, we were aware of 9/11, it wasn't until I moved up here, actually, that I heard about what happened in Gander. And it was one of the first, you know, you hear about icebergs and the colorful row houses in St. John's. Yeah. But it was a coworker who had read this book, actually, and with her book club, and said, you know, well, told me all about it and said, "You're going to have to tell me." And actually, she got in touch a year later, and she was like, "Are the people in Newfoundland really that nice?" And I said, yeah, they are.
Yeah, and some of us are arseholes. Simple as that. There's arseholes wherever you go. And I truly believe that in my heart. There are 99% of the world are fabulous. And I think if it was, you know, where you're from, people would help people. And we've seen that with the boys in Thailand in the caves. Everyone came together. And I guess, like I said, when I couldn't understand the big hoopla until someone finally said to me, because the infrastructure here can't hold it. That's what makes it special. In New York City, for example, how many hotels do they have? So it'd be no problem getting people in hotels where we didn't have it. We have 500 plus hotel rooms in Gander. That's a lot for 10,000 people. So I guess finally, all right, so we couldn't take these people, but we did. So it's like, yeah, okay, I get it now then, maybe. You know, so we could put people up down in our fitness center. But I mean, you know, I do that for a dog. Like human kindness. I think we'd all do that. So that's just, you know. Anyway, so that's as much as there's Mr. Jim DeFeedy who wrote the book there. So this is just, you know, my stuff, and right up to now, if anyone drops in, because I show this to a lot of people, only if they ask. I don't go and say, "Oh my God, I got a book, you want to see?" No, I don't do that. A lot of people say, "What do you know about 9/11?" And they'll all send them in my office. Say, "Look, go up to your room, take that, and that'll tell you." I mean, I don't mind chatting with people, but, you know. So that's my recollections of 9/11. You know, my little story here might tell you a little bit more. I remember we were doing, I think they'd done a 3-minute, not sound of silence, the 3-minute, you know, where everyone bows their heads and no one speaks. What do you call that?
A moment of silence?
Yes, thank you. So I think at one point in time, on their third day, they'd done a 3-minute. American Airlines were getting ready to leave now, or thought they were. They didn't go. And everyone, they were in their uniforms. It was good. And, you know, we played it on the radio or whatever, on TV, whatever it was. And in walked this guy, East Indian descent. Of course, back then, people were frightened to death of him because they blamed them for what happened. And, you know, I still think there's a bit of fear in the world for that. But anyway, in walked this guy during this 3-minute. And he was loud and boisterous on his cell phone. He didn't give a shit. Well, people were at it. And there just so happened to be a military crew at the same time. And somebody became really suspicious of him. So that became a moment I won't forget either. They kind of grabbed him and checked him out, checked his passport, and he was fine. But the tension, even though everything was nice, and there was still that, which come from a way depicts as well, you know, when, you know, they call out the Muslims and whatever. So, but anyway, that's just some little stories that I remember. Like I said, I hope over time, that's why I wrote it down, because I probably won't remember when I'm 75 or 80.
And how do you feel about the way it's portrayed in Come From Away musical?
Perfect, because when I seen it, well, they came to Gander and done it for us. You're aware of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fabulous. 2,500 people in the community center. Oh my God. For 15 minutes, it was just woo, 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 woo. Everyone went nuts. So then I've seen it in New York City. And I didn't realize, because they did the scene on the Muslims, I was like, oh my God. That's also in my little part of the story, because it was such a, everyone was that kind. So I thought they'd done a fabulous job. But I didn't know a lot of it till I read that book. I really didn't, which is strange. Well, because like I said, you're just so immersed here. You know, I had to leave my kids. My daughter had to go with someone else because I just couldn't be home with her and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, that's what I remember.
And that's so, I didn't think about it, but you'd only know your one piece.
Absolutely.
And it's only when you see all the pieces together that you realize how big it was.
And even now, like they have meetings now for Come From Away saying, you know, like, what do we do? And everyone's like, what do we do? What are we supposed to do? What am I supposed, I don't know what to do. So, and there's a lot of us like me, like, so what are people expecting? Like, especially Americans, when they come here, like, we all can't take you home. So, and that's why I said we live it at the hotel every day. If we can do it for you, we'll do it for you. You know, so, but yeah, I didn't know. There's 16,000 stories out there. From the basement boys to, you know, the lady that fell up against the payphone out there. The payphone is still there. I mean, she just fell and sobbed. And to the, you know, the I think it was the Royal Air Force, RAF, taking Buddy and calling the cops. And they had to take him down to a room and check him out. And just, right? And it all happened just here in this building. And so you don't know what's under your own nose sometimes. Yeah, so that's all I know.
Well, thank you so much, Karen.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
This is the end of the interview.
Stop it.